Well, good morning to everybody. I know that this is a not a normal time for me to be doing my show, but I have an opportunity to have Inside for Android to come on the show. So this is a special streaming matters show. So if you're not you're watching this as recorded, sorry, but this is work this time slot worked for him, and I wanted to be able to give him an opportunity to come on this show. So sorry for the early wake up for the people in the US. I know the UK folks, you guys are up and about. Thank you for coming on here inside for Android. How are you doing this morning
Hello,
or
yeah,
this
thanks for having
afternoon?
me. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, it's afternoon for me, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we've got this show. It's not probably, it won't be a long show. It won't be one of my normal 2 hour shows. This is going to be a short one. Um, and again, I've been known Inside for Android for probably a year, maybe 2 years in amongst the circles. I've been around a long time, worked with Turks, and he has developed quite a few Android apps out there for folks and applications for us to enjoy our streaming, and has come across and come up against a little bit of a bump in the road. And I thought we would talk about that. We had file linked that went down, what was it, been about a year ago, or maybe less than that inside?
Yeah, it was probably just under that, to be fair.
Yeah. So, and then you created a alternative for it, and we had a couple of
Yeah,
other apps that came out, all amongst in the area, same
that's
area at the
right.
time.
Yeah. It was um it was a it was just an opportunity really.
Hmm.
Uh I I weren't too in on the whole file link going down type thing and everything else. And I'd already started developing the application before Firelink even went down, but never got a
Oh,
chance.
okay.
I never really got a chance to actually put some time into it and release it. So it was almost done as such, and then I just finished it off and released it, and that was it really. And then I found out Firelink gone down. Is it? Yeah, Firelink has
Yeah,
gone
yeah, it
down.
was filing. Yeah.
So people were looking at that time,
Yeah.
and it was just luck. It was just luck that I had it ready and ready to go. To be fair.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you were up and running pretty quick. Oh, let me say one thing. I do want to give a happy Veterans Day. Thanks to all the veterans
Y-
around the world.
Yes,
I know
definitely.
because definitely I know here in North American. I know that in the UK today's Veterans Day for you guys also.
Yes, that's right.
So, massive thanks to all that have worn the uniform to help protect our countries and to try to put themselves in harm's way to keep us to having a comfortable life. So, yeah, I just want to make sure to say happy Veterans Day out to everyone that has served and even families, because if you have a loved one that serves, you're serving also because you're at home having to take up that extra stuff and you're sacrificing. So, thanks to everyone for their sacrifices in that line of work. Sorry, I didn't want to get that. So hey, so let's go ahead. Let's give back up to um, you created the app linked before file linked went down. Then you were I thought you were the one of the first ones out that
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
released it. And so and you had a little bit of a bumpy road there at the beginning, if I
yeah.
memory
It was
Kurt serves me.
my. It was falsely flagged basically by numerous antivirus companies, as well as Google. As Google, they flagged the website, said that
Hmm.
it contained malware, which I knew it didn't. Um, so I had to manually appeal all of this to get them to mark it as non-malware. Um, and then everything was fine after that. But once that like took me about a month, I would say, to get it all
Hmm.
sorted. Speaking to the relevant companies and parties that were involved, I even then had to get Google to manually review it um, uh, on their safe search website. And they did, and they deemed that no, actually there was nothing wrong, and it was just a false automated system type of thing.
Yeah.
And then everything was fine after that until more recently.
Yeah, it gets rough, then gets better, then gets rough again. So
Yeah.
yeah, so again, like he said, he released the app and it was flagged as malware, and that happens. And a lot of times we've seen that with a lot of apps. And one of the apps that you worked on, Turks, we saw that same type of issue, that the website and the APK and everything, because we all, if any of us that done that, we remember it getting flagged, remember it getting removed off of our devices. If you had Google Play, then it was removed off your device under
Yeah, that's
the
right.
Play
Yeah.
Protect, which again is an automated system that works, and it does do scans because you want to keep your devices safe. I mean, we don't,
Oh
not
no, I agree.
promoting.
Yeah.
We want our devices to be safe and running well and without a bunch of junk and running in the background. So, uh, but Google does their search or does a scan, and then it got flagged, and it's almost like you got put into the to a
Yeah,
category as of being
get like
flagged.
chucked in. Yeah, you get like chucked inside a bucket. So
Yeah.
if Google says it's bad, then everybody else has got to say it's bad. Do you know what I
Yep.
mean? It's like one of them.
Yeah.
It's like a knock-on effect. If Google
Yep.
flag it, which they did at first,
Yep.
more recently, and even the first time it happened, it was Google that started it off. They'd flagged it on the Android operating system,
Yep.
but then it had a knock-on effect with all the other antivirus companies who then flagged it as malware when
Mhm.
it actually weren't.
Yeah. Yeah. So that, and so you, as you said, and not to, but you, what you said is you had to go through and manually, and this is the earlier versions. You had to manually uh, do an appeal, and had
Yep.
to basically, and anybody that's been on YouTube, any of our YouTube friends knows the manual. You got to get a manual because the automated system scans for certain things, and if it finds certain flags, even on my videos, it looks for certain things, and I don't
Yeah.
even know what all them things are. If it finds
Typical
one of them
broken
things, boom.
system.
Yeah, yeah, but it
Yeah.
is what it is on that. So, but the same thing with this Google, it's doing the same thing, and it scans, and if it finds a flag, it's going to flag it. And then once you're flagged, you have to do the footwork to get out of that flag or out of that bucket, like you said.
Yeah, that's right.
So you did that. You did that for the first versions and didn't have
Yeah.
any issues. And then I know that last month, and I apologize, you had asked me last month to do a video, but I was in the midst of moving from the US to Canada.
No, yeah,
And
that's
I
cool.
I had I had my I had my hands full just trying to organize my stuff. I didn't have time to take do many videos. And you said, I need some time away. I gotta take a break. And so what was going on, and how did that come about, and your
Well,
decision for that?
that was, it the whole situation was just stressing me out, to be fair, which was affecting home life as well. Um, so it was just like all the abuse and, the messages and emails and stuff like that, how I've sold out my users to hackers and all the usual
Yeah.
idiotic stuff. And it was just a case, it was worrying me because I don't want to be seen like that. Um, because that's not, I don't do that.
Hmm.
Um, and then I'm on my computer like 16 hours a day trying to figure it out and trying to be nice to people and not retaliate, etc., which is
Yeah.
quite hard to do.
It is
Um,
hard sometimes when the trolls get at you. It's
yeah, yeah. So
and
I decided that was it. I'm arguing with the missus, and I'm
mhm,
not spending time with my kids. I'm always on my computer. I'm always working. Yeah, it's to provide for them as a family, but I also need to spend time with them as well. So I decided to have a break.
mhm.
Yeah.
And that was
So
in October. That
that's right.
was
Yeah.
in October. Yep. And I saw, because I
Yeah.
remember seeing the tweet saying, "Hey, I'm going to step away.
Yeah.
To step away from social media." And again, like you said, people that aren't. I mean, I think most of us, any of us that are in the community doing things that we do to try to help people, you get a lot of people that will say thank you. You get a lot of people that say, "Great job. I appreciate your work. I appreciate whatever." And be it if it's small parts of the community or larger things that we do in the community. But then you also get the people that are just hateful and just say some of the meanest things, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm not even getting paid to do this. I'm just
Yeah,
sitting here trying to help people.
that was another main thing. I
Hmm.
never earned a single penny from AppLinked, not a single penny.
Hmm.
I could have earned a lot of money from that just by
Hmm.
sticking in some adverts or you know some sort of monetization on the website, or you know, I I could have done, but
Hmm.
I chose not to, um, just because it was just a small application and project that I was doing. So
Yep.
I didn't really have the need to earn any money off it. So I the whole thing I paid for the server, etc., all off my own back. But then when it
Hmm.
became when it within weeks it was hugely popular. So trying to keep the databases clean and in check, and trying to filter out all the crap, as you would say, from the
Hmm.
database that trolls add to the database.
Yep. Yep.
Trying to filter all that out, as well as trying to maintain the app, it just got too much, and I was spending more time on that than I was anything else. So it was starting to affect my other projects and my other local clients as well, because I do business with local companies and applications and websites for them, and it was affecting that because I weren't being able to work on it because I was too engrossed in maintaining app linked.
Yeah. So, like you, and I think the good point there is that um, you've been a hobbyist. You've been a hobbyist helping the community in a lot of ways, but you're also a developer that does stuff outside of the small community that we are. I'm going to be saying that part of the community, but you have a larger part that's actually the business part of this that a reputation is built on, and that's one of the things that uh, people, just like a mechanic, like your local mechanic down the street, they build trust, they build reputation, and people continue to go to that mechanic because they trust that mechanic is going to tell them the truth and not rip them off and do what needs to be done. Reputations take a long time to be built. You've been in this community on the legitimate creating applications, software, websites for clients completely up out of our small community, as I was saying,
Yeah, that's right.
and that it was affecting that.
Yeah, because they were seeing what they obviously like follow me on Twitter, etc. They know who I am in
Hmm.
our community. So
Hmm.
them following it and seeing the backlash from it all, it was like it was affecting that as well, because now those that did trust me locally,
Yeah.
companies who I have good relationships with, they're starting to hold on a minute, and they're questioning what I'm doing for them now, and it's
Yeah.
just then it starts to affect my career
Yep.
locally, and it has a domino effect.
Yeah.
It's amazing how how quickly it has that effect as well.
Yeah. And one of the things I saw Andrew talking about stuff for free and server issues when you talk about becoming popular. And I remember, again, I remember early in the days, you actually had to back up and you're like, hey, I've got to do some of this because I'm being overwhelmed.
Yeah,
And I can look at, there's several um, add-ons or APKs that we can mention that when they become popular, people think, oh, you can pay for a $4 server and that'll pay for it.
yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't work like that.
if you have little traffic, sure, that's not a problem. When you become larger and very popular, when you're talking thousands of hits a minute, or it
This
starts.
was I can say that
Mhm.
at the peak, it was hundreds of thousands a day, hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
So
And
it was.
you're not gonna get away with a $4 or $5 server,
No,
that's
you
gonna
can't run
pay
it
for
off
that.
a cheap VPS. Do you know what I mean?
No. Yeah, yeah.
It needed a proper dedicated server.
Yep, yep,
So I had to, again, out of my own pocket, I paid for that,
yep.
which I don't mind doing. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah,
it was part of my hobby. It's going to cost, so I don't mind doing that.
yeah. And again, that's where part of this the growth, people don't, again, I'm trying to make sure that people understand. People think, you could do this for nothing. You wrote the code, it doesn't cost you anything after you wrote the code. Sure, the code doesn't cost you nothing, but the where you're going to store and run that stuff, it does cost. And I think
Yeah,
that sometimes people don't understand the cost of of running a database or having a server somewhere that's going to be able to handle the traffic, because everyone hates when you click on a website or an app and it spins and spins and spins, and people hate that.
yeah, that's right.
Well,
Yeah,
that's because the server's probably overwhelmed, and so you have to be able to handle that traffic. So I think that that's where you kind of got to that point. It got bigger and bigger and bigger, and then, as you said, that the you have the trolls, people blasting you on Twitter and wherever, and so started to become more and more heavy on you, and more. It became more work than a hobby, because if you're not
yeah, it
enjoying
did.
it, when
Yeah, it was overtaking everything that I was doing, really.
hmm
Um, all my time on the computer trying to keep it in check, and
yeah,
it was just time that I couldn't afford to waste. To be fair.
yeah, it's completely fair to see where how that grows, how that growth happened, and becomes too much. And once I tell everybody that's in this community, when something isn't a hobby no more and it becomes work, that's when you need to reevaluate. Because
Yeah,
if you need to reevaluate and say, all right, is this worth my time and my effort? And people think just sit when you're sitting at the computer is when you're spending time. A lot of times when people are doing stuff in the community, you're spending time when you're laying in bed thinking about it, and you're
yeah,
thinking about it when you're eating your dinner. You're thinking about it when you're driving in your car, thinking, oh, when I get back home, I need to do this and this and this. You know,
exactly that.
it
Yeah, literally.
it becomes overwhelming, and I think sometimes people on the user end don't appreciate and understand the how much it becomes encompassing of your life.
Yeah, it
and
does.
it
But it's
and ag-
it wouldn't have been so bad if I had, say, a team of 5 developers working
yeah,
collaboratively. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
It
yeah,
it
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
be so bad. But because I work on my own on my computer without any team or anything like that, it that's when it becomes massively overwhelming, and it's
yeah.
because it was that's an app for someone to take on as a team, as a company,
Hmm,
uh,
hmm.
and I just wasn't that. I just couldn't. I physically couldn't do it.
Yeah, and that's complete. And you got Turks over here. Tell
Yeah,
me about overwhelming. Yeah, welcome. I saw numerous people jumped in. Thank you guys for getting up so early to sit with us as we talk about some of this. Yeah, Turk knows all about the overwhelming, and again, another guy that spent 10 years in amongst this community, around 10 years that he's been in doing this day in day out. So
yeah, yeah,
definitely can understand that. So thanks for everyone jumping in on this. So all right, so let's go ahead. We'll start to move forward. So that's where it's kind of started, where the history of this, and then you got to a point where you're like, you know what, I've got to wash my hands of this. I need to step back. I've got to um, quality of life, and
yeah.
you had to make some choices, and so you did that in October.
That's right. Yeah. So I decided that it was time for a new home. Um, a company approached me. Um, they said that they'd take it off my hands and take all my problems away. So I was like, right, okay, cool. So I decided that, yeah, I even spoke with my missus about it, and I spoke to other people about it, um, just because I weren't sure in my own mind. Um, but then, yeah, it turned out that it just would be easier just to get rid, because I couldn't handle it as a sole developer.
Hmm,
So I thought that was the best option. But
hmm.
since doing that, it's just been I've just had nothing but hassle. Like hassle every single day, waking up to emails, and messages, and social media, and it's just like, oh fuck, do I really have to do this day in and day out now?
Yeah, yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah.
and it's not like I like I said before, I didn't monetize the app in any way.
Yep.
It was just an app that was there, which was taking up a lot of my time. So I decided to pass it on to someone who could spend the time on it, and keep it up to date, rather than it failing miserably and then
Hmm.
having the backlash of an app that's totally failed.
Yeah, yeah. Because people, yeah, then people hit you up with a, I trusted this app to work, and I still got hit up with
Exactly. Yeah.
people that were watching when I helped on Droid Buddy for a while, and people are like, how can you let it go?
Yeah.
I was doing it for free.
Yeah.
It becomes too much of a hassle. Plus, there's liabilities in it. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Definitely.
there's a liability in it. So you got to be, if people aren't cognitive of that, you're putting your neck out to help somebody else for nothing. And it's like, is that worth the risk? So
Yeah.
you went ahead, decided to hand it over to somebody else, let somebody else in. Again, you spoke about this on a tweet. I was gonna grab that. You had it on a tweet for that said that you were gonna step away, that you were gonna uh, help be on the developing team for what, 6 months, I think is what I saw you say.
6 months since the day that I passed it over. So I think that would have been October the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
So I was politely asked by them to develop with them and their team so
Yep.
that they can learn the ropes of the application and know it inside out so that they can continue it
Yep.
without messing it up. So I've agreed to do that. That's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I agreed to do that.
Yep.
So that's 6 months from now. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but what comes with that is I'm just how would you? I'm just a dog's body. I'm told what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I've got no ownership rights over the app anymore. So whatever happens in whatever case, I'm not responsible for that. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter if it doesn't matter if this app makes $1 million tomorrow. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my bad luck. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
But
yeah.
if it turns out like FileLink and gets shut down
Yep.
by Ace or whatever, then
Mm-hmm.
it's not me. It's not my fault. I have no control of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
This app has been passed on. It is not owned by me anymore.
So you're gonna stay on for 6 months on an advisory role, I'll call it that, because you
Yeah,
don't have control. You're just an advisor, or just a hired hand
yeah.
of
So
sorts
basically,
where
they'll
you
just
can.
send me a piece of code where they'll be like, "Will this work?"
Hmm.
Or can you debug this piece of code just to make sure it's error free? And then I'll
Hmm.
send it back and say, no, you need to do this and do that, or it's perfectly fine, and
Yeah.
away you go. And then they'll do everything else.
Right. Right. So there's somebody else that's actually doing the code. You're just in an advisory role, or
Yeah, I'm
or
just
a fall or in
oversee
yeah.
like the debugging of it and making sure that for them, I'm making sure that not even making sure. I'm sort of backing up what they're doing
Yep.
and verifying that it's working as such. So they'll send me a piece of code or an example. I'll debug it, and if it's fine, they'll publish it. If it's not, they'll ask me to debug it and find out what's wrong. Basically,
Right. So I was going to show. So then, come at the end of the month, this is where we started. Again, I wasn't online, so I was kind of just an observer at that point. And I've got numerous sites hit us up with the app linked to malware, and we
yeah,
had this pulls it as 16. I did a scan this morning. It flags it that there's 17 different things. We had the discussion where people said that it went from 4 megabytes, or just under 4 megabytes. Now we're up to almost 33 megabytes. And there are, numerous flags, which some may be false flags and some may be legit. And also it put into the discussion of, why did it go from one size to another? Why did it grow by 10 times?
right,
And again, you've already handed it over, and so you're having to deal with the backlash now on your viewing. Now that you see that these items are flagged, and we have numerous play people in between websites saying don't use it to YouTubers or bloggers. So we have all these people saying, beware of this. So thoughts on being flagged, and again, like I said, this morning it was showing as 17. So
Yeah,
what's your
I've
thoughts on that?
actually emailed 18. Um, there's 18 different um, companies involved in total, depending on it depends on where you scan it. Really,
Yeah.
it depends on where you scan it. So it just sees like the elf agent. That's a very very common
Yeah.
false positive in a lot of mobile apps.
Yes. And
Um,
actually, I've seen that on a lot of APKs. If you do a search
I've
for it, you
actually seen
almost
it
always
on
seen that.
I've actually seen it on official apps like BBC iPlayer
Hmm.
and things like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
In regards to the other ones, uh, the riskware Linux application agent. See, that's another one. The Linux application agent. That's that is actually referring to um, a uh, sort of a when you visit a website, you get a user agent, don't you? You've got a
Yep.
user agent.
Yeah. Yeah. It has to know what
It's a
kind of
similar
browser
type.
you're using. What?
Yeah, it's a similar type of thing, but it's a manual user agent that's used. So like a custom user agent.
Okay.
Yeah. So to access the API backend, it requires custom user agent, and that's why that flags up. So it's not risky per se.
Hmm.
It's actually
Hmm.
more secure.
Yeah.
but but all this happened since Google flagged it. So
Yeah.
like I said, the domino effect. Google flagged it. Once Google flagged it, all this happened, and it
Yeah.
seems that every other day that goes by, other companies are adding to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I've done is I've generated a list of companies that are involved. I've emailed them all uh, just to try and get all this manually reviewed again.
Hmm.
Um, See if we can get it all sorted and all back to how it was. And I've also asked Google again to review it. And
Yep.
I've just got to wait for the results on that or conversate with them on how we can get around it and solve the problems really.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, we get numerous things, and again, when we spoke at the beginning, that you same hurdles, somewhat a lot of the same hurdles that you had at the very beginning of it. And again, people, I've said this when people have installed repos. When we've used Kodi and we've
Yeah.
installed repos, and I've told people you need to be careful of what repositories you install, especially with 18 and earlier. 19 you have a little bit more protection because of the way that it's designed, which I applaud Kodi and how they did 19 on that for repos. But on the earlier versions, Cody, and I said it, that what happens when you install a repository, it's almost like you've given the keys of your device or the keys to your house to that repository. And you said, anything that you think that needs to be inside my house, you can come in and fix it. And the same thing when we're installing different applications,
Yeah.
you have that install and agree. That is part of the Android uh, steps. It's going to ask you, it doesn't automatically. You have to say install, and usually you have to give it permissions to access the hard drive. Or if it's an application that uses your camera, it may ask for that. So it asks you those permissions up front. So when we install different APKs or programs on your computer, you've got to be careful of what you do. It's better to be a little bit safer than sorry, and to make sure that you're not getting something installed that's hard to get off once it's on.
Yeah.
So I do think, for me, I think people need to be aware and
No, I would be. I
stay
mean, there's
stay
no reason.
alert.
There's no reason to not be cautious,
Hmm.
even in regards to AppLinked. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Because there's. I'm not an expert in viruses and malware and
Hmm.
what have you, and malware bites or what have you. I'm no
Yep. Yep.
expert in that. So some of these positives could well be a virus. I don't know the ins and outs of it as yet, which is why I've
Yeah.
emailed different companies to be able to get their input on it, so that either number one, I can advise the company that I passed it on to on how to fix it. So number
Hmm.
one, I can advise them on how to fix it to be able to get it fixed and then reviewed. So that's basically what I'm going through now. That process now. I'm just trying to help the app out as well as the other company involved,
Hmm.
just so that we can get it all done and fixed, and just to put users' minds at ease when installing AppLinked or any other app for that matter.
Yeah, yeah, and a part of this, and again, the company that has this, and not to say that all those are legit or not legit. I'm not an expert in it, so I'm not going to say either way because I don't know. But the thing is that some of those could be false positives, and also with some of that, we've seen people that have websites that have pop-ups, and you've ever seen it where your browser will pop up and say, "Ah, there's malware," and it could even just
Yeah,
be in some of the pop-ups or the ad or the adverts, um, their cookies. There's different ways that sometimes that certain things get flagged
yeah.
as possibly unsafe. So,
I do know that
you know,
you can have up to, I think it's 5 flags. I think there is 5 flags on Virus Total that you can get, even just by, if in your app you don't use a HTTPS connection.
hmm, yeah,
So
secure. Yep,
if you're just using a HTTP connection to connect to the server at the back
yep,
end, that
yep,
will give you 5 false positives straight away,
yep.
and that's simply because of the SSL certificate and stuff like that.
Yep, yep.
Do you know what
And
I
it,
mean? It's
oh yeah, because there's a lot of times if it doesn't, if the website doesn't have the SSL certification, it will tell you, hey, this website has not had their
exactly, yeah,
certification. Do you still want to proceed?
and it's
I
it's
mean,
silly little
I
things
mean,
like
even
that
seen it
that
with my
cause.
own website. I've seen that for my own
Yeah,
website, and I knew it was safe, but it got flagged as possibly. So those things can happen.
yeah,
And
yeah.
and again, I do think that with a lot of which was another flag for a lot of people is when they saw the size of it increase, and be it that it could be the images, it could be does the new APK have a lot of thumb images or stuff like that, because a lot of times applications grow if you add art or you add
No,
images in
that's
there.
100% correct. Yeah. I
Mhm.
mean, if like it's all about cache. Yeah.
Yeah.
You build up the cache by using an application, because every image that it pulls in and then glide loads into a thumbnail or whatever, it stores that so that it's quicker to load next time. And
Yep.
that's basically what it does.
Yep. So I think that people get nervous, and I think that for me, again, I try to be upfront and honest with people, and I'll, upfront with Inside for Android. For me, I'm a person that's be like, well, I would probably wait to see. I do know that some YouTubers, I know that Tanya and some other people had said to use 1.0.9, which was the previous version. You could still use that and it would work fine. And then talking to you, that could be a problem.
Yeah, that probably this weekend. I'm going to say, well, around this weekend, give or take a few days. Um, the 109 will ultimately stop working, because that's when the old servers totally shut down.
Yeah.
They'll go offline. So that will totally stop working, even though it uses the same domain.
Hmm.
Internal links and stuff are different, so or should stop working. Parts of it might still work, but
Yeah, I was gonna say some of it may be cached. So
yeah,
sometimes people say, well, it worked for a few more days because some of those things are cached,
that's
so that
right.
it,
Yeah,
it already knows those shortcuts are where it's supposed to go. But ultimately, it will
Yeah. Ultimately, it will stop
it'll
working.
start it'll the brakes.
Which I again have no control over, because
Hmm.
I don't own it anymore. So,
Yeah.
that's inevitably going to happen, and that's just the old server expiring.
Yep.
Um, because the subscription to it's been cancelled. So that will expire, which will stop older versions working. Um, so yeah, it's one way or the other. You either do use it and you know assume that it's going to be fixed, or you can do what
Hmm.
you say and wait. There are
Hmm.
plenty of alternatives out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mentioned we have the file synced is an option. I know unlinked is an option,
Yeah,
and I myself as well as others have done videos showing how to use Downloader, and especially if you have a shared server, which again that goes back to that $3 or $4, $5 a month. You can
yeah,
get a shared server, and you can create a folder, put the things that are important to you in that folder, and create a downloader number and access that just like you would as one of these apps. And you don't, to me, I like that better because I'm not dependent to install another app to be able to get to whatever APKs. And I have complete control, and it just is quicker and easier. And I'm not dependent on stuff. So there's lots of options for you guys. You're not stuck with uh, this one, and that's it. There's lots of options out there for people to use to be able to get these files, because the main thing is that most of our friends or people that use this, they're wanting to, usually it's to help your friends and family. Now I know some people have their a business and do it that way, but majority using it for just friends and family to make it easy for themselves. So maybe you wait to see how this all fleshes out, go with one of those other options, or like I said, there's options of creating a folder on a small shared server. And there's other videos that people use. Dropbox doesn't work as well with Downloader that I find, but plenty of videos that will show you how to do that and keeping yourself safe. So I was looking to see if anybody had any kind of questions. um, and Technic says, sounds like you did a deal with the devil. um, my thought is you could, or not necessarily. Some of these could be people and their growing pains, because I think of with Turks early on, there was things that you're like, well, I can't use that because that creates a problem, and it-
yeah,
growing pains.
yeah.
What you can and can't do, what you can't put in, what you can put in, and what is flagged and what's not flagged.
That's right. Plus, there was the change of server as well. So
Hmm.
internally, the IP address for that server is different as well. SSL is different because it's all on a new server as well. So
Hmm.
there's going to be those issues. So I got the app reviewed, and the website reviewed, so that it would work again. But now it's a totally different server. So
Right.
whether their automatic review system has noticed that, hold on a minute, this is not the website or server that we said was okay, and it's automatically flagged again.
Hmm.
Even just the little things like that can cause flags for malware and stuff.
Yeah. And like I was saying, with Google or any of these others in the thing, like you said with Google, when Google flags you, once you fall into the bin from Google, it's a domino effect, and you're going to
Yeah,
be you hit with a lot of it, because everybody's like piles on, and once you're in that bucket, you got to crawl out of that bucket. They're not going to pull you out of the bucket and look at you. They're not going to manually review you once you're in the bucket unless you wave your hand and say, "Check me out. There's nothing wrong with me."
yeah, that's right.
Um, it's so.
And to be fair, it is a lot of work just to get stuff reviewed because there's you've got to imagine all the emails and stuff they're getting and
Mhm.
review requests every single day. So because it's not just me and my app
Oh yeah,
and
oh yeah.
or the next person in their app. There's hundreds of thousands of people every day requesting reviews.
Yep.
So it does take its time, unfortunately. So, but
Yeah.
timescale wise, I'm going to try and say a month, and this should be sorted.
Okay. Okay.
Fingers
Um,
crossed.
I know I didn't want to hold you up too long today, because I know that you've got stuff going on. I didn't see anybody with any real questions. I appreciate the people
No,
that
I
jumped
didn't.
in here. I appreciate everyone that jumped in over here on the side chat. I didn't see any questions or things that people would like to put out there as a question. But so you got a few seconds here for folks if you see if there's something that you wanted to ask. But I know that Inside for Android built a reputation, not only in our small part of the community, but actually as a line of work that he does outside of for for the regular community, for his regular community, and building websites and building apps. And our part of Inside for Android's a very small part of what his full job is, because this is his job of creating this stuff. And I certainly appreciate the work that you've done and trying to give you a platform to say, hey, this is where this is what's happened. Um, because I hate it when people get piled on
No,
social
yeah.
media. I mean,
No,
it's
it's I don't mind the hobby side of it. I don't mind doing. It's something I like doing as a hobby, but when it starts to affect my current client base
mhm,
in my real world job, it's that's when you've got to draw a line and say, look, come on, I don't own it no more. I don't control it no more, and that app should not it it shouldn't tar my reputation just because I wrote it originally, if you know what I mean. It's like
mhm.
writing. It's like me writing a book and then passing it on to passing the rights on or selling the rights on to someone
Yeah,
else.
yeah.
It's
And
the same.
someone else writes a sequel to it. They
Yeah,
write a sequel to it and then blame you for the book.
exactly.
It's like, wait a
Yeah,
minute,
yeah,
they wrote the sequel. I gave them the base, and then where they went with it is on them, not on me.
yeah. That's basically what it is, really. To
Hmm.
be fair, I finished writing my chapter, and now someone else is going to write a new one. It's one of them things. But
Yeah,
I've got more important things to be worrying about, like my clients and the job that I do and the money that I earn, because AppLinked ain't going to pay my bills.
yeah,
Um, and it wasn't because I didn't monetize it. It was just for free,
yep,
and it was costing. So
yep,
it was more cost effective to get shot than it was to keep it on and
yeah,
let it burn a hole in my pocket.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's understandable. And I mean, again, you've put it out there for people to be able to get an idea
And
of it when there was because there was a vacuum. Like I said, you were the first one that I
yeah,
remember.
honest to
You
God,
were
I
the
did
first
not.
one out there.
Yeah, I was, and honest to God, I did not expect it to be as popular as it was.
Yeah.
Um, it just blew up big, and it was just like, wow, what have I done? Type thing. Um,
Hmm.
and I didn't realize it was going to be as big as it was, or as big as it is. Um, so, well, yeah, ultimately, time wise, for myself, I had to do something with it. And the only logical thing was to pass it on to someone else who could manage it.
Yeah.
If not, the only other option was for me to shut down the server, shut down the app, and then that was it, leave it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you know what I
Basically.
mean? But I
Yeah.
didn't
Then
want
it
to
was
do that
dead.
to the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of users that were using it.
Yep.
So, yeah, the only logical solution was to pass it on.
Yeah. And again, you were, to me, I when I read that in October, I mean, you were very clear. Uh, there wasn't any. You were like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's going to happen. You were very clear about it, so it wasn't like you were kind of doing any deception of, uh you know
No, yeah, yeah,
you're
definitely.
like,
I mean,
hey, I'm stepping back, I can't do
yeah,
this. And you were upfront with everyone on Twitter, as i
yeah,
i
that's right.
posted earlier. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
I can't do it.
No, yeah. And I've just been upfront about it. It's just like, yeah, I can't do it. You know, it weren't so long ago. I was asking if anybody I knew was an Android developer or could write in Java,
Yep.
um, and literally no one could. So it was like even trying to get the help wasn't there. So
Yep.
yeah, it was just me and my computer.
Yeah. Yeah. Burning it up,
Yep.
losing time on the other things that actually were a profit. So
Yeah, with
that's
times
understandable.
yeah, like UK Turks app.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to do much with that because I've been bogged under with everything else.
Yeah, we need to keep that thing going. That's still staying
No, yeah,
alive. So
definitely. That will continue. That will be getting an update soon, so don't worry about that.
yeah, and that's again another, like we said earlier, we that was one of those that kind of fell in that bin early on. Remember, it was issues with
That's right. That
Google
got the
Play,
same
and
virus thing, and
we
yeah,
had to sort through that.
we managed to get it out the bin and sort it out. And think, touch wood, it's doing all right. It's
Yeah,
it's good at.
yeah. again, for my friends that are not Debrid users, I always tell them, I'm like, well, if you're not a Debrid user, and some people don't want to use Cody, it's too much hassle, this and that. I'm like, all right, well, you can use this app. This app, and I love the QR code. I thought that was a brilliant idea to
Ah,
do the
right. Yeah,
QR
yeah,
code. It pulls it right up on your phone. I mean, everyone's got a phone or tablet right beside them on the
yeah.
couch
Scan
or
the
the
QR
chair.
code and
Hit
up it
up
comes.
there, and you roll right through it. And again, it's a if you don't have real Debrid or a premiumized or an all Debrid, or it gives you the ability to be able to see the content that you're wanting to watch, the good quality.
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
I always tell people, hey, I mean, it's options. You're gonna pay or a little bit of time. You're gonna do one or
yeah,
the other in this community, unless you just want bad links. And I am not a person that's for bad links. So
yeah.
I no, it's got to be 720 or 1080 or 4K if I'm gonna watch it. All right, I was looking. I don't see it. I see some people saying thank you for your service. And again,
You're very welcome.
you're a guy that's been working behind the scenes, even on applications that maybe not everybody knows that you've helped on.
Oh
You've
yeah, there's
been helping.
I'm gonna guess there's maybe 6 or 7 other applications like Media Lounge, like UK
Mhm,
Turks that are out there, which I developed myself, and just took a back seat.
mhm, yep,
Yeah, I've done a lot for a lot of people, to be fair.
yep, yeah, and I think that that's the thing. There's a lot of unsung heroes like yourself that working in the community to help people to be able to see the content they want to see when they want to see it, and most of them not making anything off of this. So it's amazing when sometimes when I just it just really hits me wrong when I see people getting abused on social media for doing work that they're not even getting paid for. I mean, it's one thing
No, yeah.
if I'm gonna beat on Verizon.
Oh, yeah, if I was gonna
um,
charge
eh,
everybody 20
yeah,
quid a month to use it, then
yeah,
fair enough. But
yeah, you can get
it
the abuse when things ain't working. I mean, but
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
uh, for a free something free that they're giving you, so it's for your own benefit.
yeah.
How much can you complain? So, all right. Well, I just wanted to don't want to hold you up all day. We'll go ahead. Is there any other things that you wanted to mention, or to that we didn't
Um,
touch on, or
there will be
direct
a
people?
there'll be an update for UK Turks app soon. Hopefully next week. If not, it'll be the week after.
Okay.
Um, uh, Exusia. I've been messing about with the old source code, and I'm possibly, this is not a definite, but I might release a real debrid slash premiumize slash what's the other one? All debrid.
Aldebrid.
Yeah, it'll be just for them, so it won't be a free to use app. Well, it'll be free to
Mhm.
use, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you would need a premium
Paid.
subscription
Yeah,
for
premium
one of the
service. Yeah.
free. Um, but it'll be more torrent based than it will anything else. So
Yeah, yeah,
hence the reason for the premium subscriptions. But hopefully I can get that pushed out soon. But like I say, my actual work comes before that. So
yeah,
I just do bits on that when I can.
yeah. And you said what was that app?
That's I might call it. It's going to still
Oh,
be called Exusia,
okay.
but I might rename it to something like Exusia TT or Exusia Torrents or something like that.
Okay, so you got some options. I did want to make mentions that if you do look for app linked, if we do a search, I'm using DuckDuckGo over there, and you're going to find a lot of options. If you do just a Google search, you're going to have a lot. From the store is hold on a second, that's kind of small. Well, this ain't right. So the link for that is AppLinked.store is the URL. Now that is the correct URL. That's legit, or where the official version is going to come from. Am I right?
That's right. Yeah, the domain name was it was transferred,
Okay.
so they own the domain as well now.
Okay.
And this is the official domain to get the app from. If you go and visit one of the other spoof websites,
Yep.
like
Yep.
like AppLink.go or whatever,
Yep. Yep.
then especially if you do it on your PC,
Yep.
you're looking for trouble basically,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
a lot of them are just there to throw ads and malware at you. They really are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, you're right, because when I did a search, just threw it in there, and applink.app.com, we had
yeah,
applink.me,
none of
um,
that is anything to
applinked
do.
pro.
Yeah, none of that's anything to do with AppLink whatsoever.
Yeah.
There is only one domain, and the .store domain is the one.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to make sure to point out to everybody that that is where the official version is, and where the official updates are going to come from. And just to touch on base, that um, there is where we talked about the 1.0.9, that a lot of people are saying you can still use those again. Yes, you can, but you're probably going to find that to stop working shortly. So that's not a long-term solution for you if you're wanting to continue to use the app
No,
linked.
that's right.
It's gonna stop working. So you've been warned. We've given you
Yeah,
fair warning on all of this. Um, Shrinking Sharon says, I, I don't know if I'll put the link in the show description, Sharon.
no,
Um,
I wouldn't, because if it does get flagged by Google, it will
yes,
strike your video.
Yes, it will, and that's why I was thinking I was probably not going to put, because when you put those hyperlinks, that's the easiest thing for YouTube when they're scanning.
Yeah,
And once you get, I understand completely, because I've been in that boat with with Turks. I got smacked with that one, so I won't put in there again. It's a dot store. It's easy to find. You can do a search for that, and you guys can find that. But again, pay attention to what's being installed on you guys' devices. You have choices. We've got lots of options. Um, Lots of thanks to Inside4Android for coming on here talking about that. Anything you want to say before we head out? Because we'll go ahead and cut out, since we'll be less than an hour.
no, just that, just if people can just remember that I don't own it no more, and just you know, there's no need to give me hassle over it.
Yeah.
Um, I did something, and now that's moved on, and now I'm going to do something else. So it's just one of them things. Moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I certainly appreciate you reaching out to me. Glad that we were able to work out a time that you could come on here, and that worked with your schedule. And my schedule is kind of wide open. I'm back. People that didn't watch my show Friday, I have moved to Canada now. I'm up here in the Great White North, and I've yet to see snow. Looking outside, still don't see any snow, but that's coming, I'm sure. I'm situated. I'm here. I'm going to try to get back on my regular schedule. This show was scheduled a little bit differently to accommodate Inside4Android, so that he could come on the show, because when we do the shows my normal time, it is late for him, and it makes it difficult for him and his family. So this is just kind of a special time to do it there. So much thanks to Inside4Android. Thanks to him and all of the work that he does,
You're
helping
welcome.
out, creating the apps that you've created, helping people in the background. I certainly appreciate your work. I appreciate you reaching out to me and saying hey, and me giving you an opportunity to give your side of this without, because everyone can make a video saying this is what's happening. Rather hear it from the man himself, and then there's no
Yeah.
discrepancy, no mixed words. So thanks for everyone joining in. I'm gonna close the show. Inside4Android, you ain't got to jump off. We'll chat for a second after the show ends, and then you can
Yeah. No
do
problem.
your family things. Thanks for you guys watching. I will try to do a show Friday, which is tomorrow. Then I'm not working. My days are all mixed up. So tomorrow's Friday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow's Friday. So I'm gonna try to do a show Friday, my normal time. So I saw Shinobi said weird time. Yeah, this is only for this. I will try to do my show on Friday. Also trying for Player Pass. We should get that going next week. I messed up and forgot yesterday was Wednesday, so we didn't have Player Pass last night or yesterday, and that's for movie reviews. So guys, check us out on Wednesdays. It's just we cover a movie. We talk about a certain movie. Uh, you don't have to be techie on that. You can say you like the movie or didn't like the movie. It's a fun time. Thanks for everyone joining us. We'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks, Inside4Android.
No worries. Thank you.